Okay, at this point we have performed the color correction of this image. The colors are almost ready. In this clip, we are going to focus on definition in our image. We will be working on light and shadows, and we will enhance contrast in the photograph. So as the very first step, we will add new adjustment layer curves, and we will make the contrast in the photograph stronger with the classic S-shaped curve. So let's move down to the layers panel. Let's click on this icon and let's pick from the drop-down menu curves. That way we have added the curves adjustment layer at the very top of our layer stack. Let's move now over to the properties panel and let's just add two control points, one in the light areas of our histogram and another one in the shadow area of our histogram. As you might already know, all we need to do is to pull the first point upwards to increase highlights and to pull this point downwards to increase shadows in our image. As you may have noticed, by increasing contrast in the image, we have increased as well saturation, which is not what we want. Let's switch off this layer. As you can see now, here the image is much more desaturated, much more subtle, and I want to leave it as it was. I just want to increase the contrast. So having the adjustment layer selected, let's simply change the blend mode to luminosity. That way we are enhancing contrast in the image without affecting saturation. So we have increased the contrast. Let's now mask the layer, since I want to have the contrast a little bit stronger over the face of the model, over her arm. I just want to make the texture of the skin a little bit stronger to increase definition of her body. However, I don't want to have the background to get that dramatic as now, and this blanket, I just want to leave it subtle and soft, almost without touching it. So we just have to select the mask, hit Command I to invert the mask, so now these changes are not visible at all. I will be revealing them by painting on the black mask with white color with a soft brush. So I'm hitting B to select the brush, and now I'm hitting left square bracket to decrease size of the brush. Actually, I have to increase it. Let's just make it smaller, since I will be working now with the body of the model. Opacity 10 is fine. I want to apply these adjustments in a subtle way. I want to maintain control over this process. Maybe we can go for 20. I'm hitting 2 on my keyboard, and I just want to work on the face, a little bit over the hair, and mostly I want to make the arm much more defined. I want to have the texture stronger. Let's switch off and on the layer. As you can see, while working with this adjustment layer, while painting on the mask, these adjustments are not visible, but we can check our process by switching on and off this layer. I can see that already this part is a little bit too strong, so I'm simply hitting X on my keyboard to swap these color samples, and by painting with the black color I can make this enhancement here less visible. Okay, so let's now zoom in a little bit more. I'm hitting X again to swap the color samples. I want to paint with white. Let's decrease size of the brush. Let's hit 5 to go for the opacity 50, and let's make sure that the area that we want to focus on is visible. Okay, so that way with the adjustment layer curves we have added contrast to our image, and next we will sharpen our photo. To sharpen the image we have to unfortunately stop working in a non-destructive way. We have to create the stamp layer. I'm hitting Alt-Shift-Command-E. That way I have created the stamp layer. In this layer I have all the visible layers flattened. I can move this layer around. Let's get back here, and to sharpen the image I have to change the blending mode of this layer to overlay. Next, let's move over to Photoshop menu bar. Let's select Filter, Other and High Pass. Here, depending on size of your image, you can work between values like 0.5 till 2. I usually use the radius around 1.2, a little bit stronger. Maybe we can go for 2, since I'm going to mask this layer as well. I just want to make certain areas sharper. I don't want to bring attention to the blanket, so I just want to make sharper the texture of the skin and maybe a bit of the hair of the eyes. However, notice that by sharpening that way, we are making this halo stronger under the model's chin, around her nose. So make sure that you are not going to make this part visible. Don't paint on the mask in this area. Okay, so let's mask this layer. I'm just hitting this icon to add mask to the layer. The layer is visible, so I'm hitting Command I while having the mask selected. So I'm hitting Command I to invert the mask, and I will be painting with a soft brush again with white color. I'm hitting B. Let's increase size of the brush, and in a very precise way, let's just paint a bit over the eye, avoiding this area here with the halo, with this edge outside the nose and under the model's chin. So now we are painting with the white color over the areas in the image that we want to put more emphasis on, that we want to make them sharper. I don't want to overdo this, since the whole point while processing this image was to keep it soft, quiet and dreamy. So going further with sharpening will make this image harsh. So I will actually go down with opacity of this layer, and maybe we can leave it around 68. Okay, that way I am happy with the effect we have created. And the last operation we'll perform in this video, we will make the image a little bit brighter with the levels adjustment layer. So let's move over to the middle icon. Let's select from the drop-down menu levels. That way we have added the levels adjustment layer at the very top of our layers stack, and having the layer selected, let's just move the marker position on the right hand side towards the middle of the histogram. So that way we are making shadows in our image brighter, and the image is getting softer and more vibrant. Let's switch off the layer. Okay, I'm happy with the result. So in this clip we have performed 3 operations. First, we were working with contrast in our image with the curves adjustment layer. Next, we have sharpened the image a bit, and lastly we have added a little bit more light to the shadows. We are almost ready. In the last video, in the last clip, we will further perform color corrections on the shadows in our photograph, and that way we will accomplish our processing. Let's move over to the next video and let's complete processing our photograph.